you can be better than you are. You could be swinging on a star.
Salutations all, I'm Jockey, and welcome to the X report for Kirby's Dream Land 2, where we're going to be getting all the rainbow drops that we missed in the game. Now, unlike Kirby's Adventure, there's only one per world in this game, which I like so much, but unfortunately, a new addition is now some of these require animal buddies that aren't in the level, meaning having to do a different level of beating a mini-boss and all that, so some of these are easier than Kirby's Adventure, some of them are harder, but at the very least they're a bit more organized and don't involve any invisible doors, at least for the most part. But the first one's easy, it's in level 3, I think this is. It just needs the umbrella, that's all. And then World 2, all you need is the needle ability, which you can get in level 3, and then down here at the start, just right through here. Again, these first ones look so easy compared to like World 4. But World 3, we're gonna need the fish, and now the thing is, I'm going in with the Zap ability, but this is actually not the one you need. You want the Stone ability, but I'm just showing this off because you would think, oh, there's a hidden door, and you find those using the fish with the Zap. Similar to how you would the Light ability in the dark areas in Kirby's Adventure. But where the rainbow drop is past these eel dudes in the second section, and just down this hole right here. Don't mind me getting this star right here. But it's down, under, and then up here, which is why you need the fish to get this ability, so you can swim against those currents, grab the stars in here, and use the light ability to see the door up there. Now, use the light to see the door, but actually within the door, you're going to need the stone ability to break through there, which is why it's not even necessary once you know where the door is. At that point, just go in with the stone ability, and there you go. There are no stone abilities in this level, so you will have to go in and get it from another level, which I can't remember. There's a stone ability early on somewhere in that world. But oh boy, now we got World 4, which is probably the hardest one in the entire game, I would say. Now the one in World 4, it's in level 4, and what you need is the fish with the burning ability. Doesn't sound too hard. After all, you just did the level with the fish, and there's the burning boss right away. But it's difficult for two reasons. One is keeping the fish with the burning ability, and my D-pad messed up there for some reason, I don't know why that happened, but one difficulty is keeping the fish, which, assuming you didn't get him in the last rainbow drop and keep him all the way to here, you're gonna have to get him either randomly from that animal buddy you get from beating that boss, because that animal buddy is random, or you can go back to level 2-2 and get him pretty early on from beating the mini-boss, which is what I did, since I don't want to keep fighting that mini-boss over and over again, hoping I get the fish. But then you gotta go through this auto-scrolling section, which is pretty difficult solely because of those blocks right there. Jumping perfectly and hitting them with the fire is really precise, and if you miss and you get trapped behind those blocks, it's instant death because you get squished by the screen. Then you go through here, and this is me just pausing to look at the guide, because I absolutely used a guide for this. I wasn't going to figure this out on my own, especially with some of the later ones. But there's a really confusing part that I spent a lot of time reading up on, where, okay, so you go over here, you avoid these circles, they're not a problem really. I decided to wait for them before jumping up and taking them out, which you really don't have to do. Maybe with the bottom one, since he appears on the screen a bit before you reach his area, but... Then there's this section here, these guys, you can't reach the ones on top, so you just gotta be careful for them, but you also can... The hitboxes, you can practically jump into them and they won't hurt you, at least from my experience. Now this is a confusing part where there's ice blocks below me, and I have to go to the side and destroy them, but there's also ice blocks to the other, or to behind me, that have like a maximum tomato and a 1-up behind them. Do not break those, otherwise you cannot get out with the fish, and you still need the fish. At least yeah, you still need the fish because of, these bricks right here. You're gonna need to abandon the fire ability, grab one of those blocks, spit it out of the way, and then grab the fire ability again. Twice, because he can't fit down just one of the holes. So this is a really annoying segment. And you need the fish to swim against those currents down there. It's not like you can just abandon him, spit some water fountains, and then, yeah, just destroy the fire ability. Time to do it all over again. And I'll show you down here. There's ice blocking the rainbow drop, and they even give you a Gordo to kill yourself on. How considerate. But, yeah, that one's really difficult because of how far you have to make it with both the fish and the fire ability, and having to do that last bit where you get the fire ability out of you and then get it back. That's just ridiculous. I'm glad at the very least this is one of the only rainbow drops in the game that does this. Anyway, we finally made it through. There were a lot of attempts where I messed up there, I just skipped past for you guys. And I actually have a bit of difficulty here getting this ice block out of the way. There we are. Anyway, that is World 4's Rainbow Drop. World 5, it's here in level 5. And this is actually the easiest one in the late game, just because the one after this involves a lot of switching animal buddies, and the one after that just involves complete luck. But this one's pretty simple. It just requires the hamster, which you can get in World 1, and the beam ability, which you can find all over this level at the start, a bit later on after the swimming section, just in case you lose it in here. This one's pretty simple. Now, unfortunately, the beam ability underwater gets very neutered. It's very small and hard to hit these guys with. It's best to just avoid them. Especially since if you get hit, you lose your ability, and unlike the fish, the hamster cannot inhale underwater, so... Well, it's not a big deal because those are sparked enemies right there. They give you a choice of doors here. I don't know why. I don't remember if there's anything different in the doors. But the reason we need this ability is because of how the room with the rainbow drop is designed. You can't just use the spark ability with Kirby. But anyway, you just have to make it through this auto-scrolling segment, which I managed to do on my first try, but it can be kind of difficult, I imagine, if you're trying to keep the hamster all the way through, or especially if you're keeping the fish through this. I would definitely not recommend using the fish in this part at all. They absolutely designed this thinking that you needed to keep the hamster all the way through. That's why they put all these platforms here, and that's why there are a lot of enemies above you in this instance right here, where you easily kill them with the beam ability since it reaches above. But yeah, instead of going through the door down there, use this, use the beam ability, and then down here, the beam ability reaches all the way over when I think the spark ability does not. It might be possible some other animal buddy and some other electric ability, I'm not sure. I've actually never even tested if they can break those bricks with any other spark ability. I'd imagine they can. But on to World 6, which is in level 2, and this one is the absolute hardest, for the sole reason that it requires at the beginning of the level that you use the ice ability to progress. Now, the ability that that the rainbow drop is locked behind later in the level is the owl with the cutter ability, or just the cutter ability in general, which isn't a problem. You can easily just walk in with the cutter ability, but unfortunately, you can't do that because, like I said, at the start of this level, you come across this door right here, which is blocked behind ice blocks. So, you think, oh, maybe there's an enemy later on that gives me the cutter ability. Yes, but he's behind a wind current, which means you need the owl, which is behind a area where you need the hamster, which is behind an area in which you need the beam. And anyway, you come in here with the fish and the ice ability, and I'm just pausing here to look at the guide because it's so confusing. But you go to the highest area, and then you drop down into this pool, which is already kind of cryptic because there's like zero sign that it's there. But you go down here, and you go in the door. Now there's a current, a water current, which you need to swim towards. And then here is a boss. It's the spark ability boss, which I'm very much used to fighting at this point, since he's how I get to the fish every time in World 2-2. But we just need to beat him one more time. It's actually no longer important that you keep the fish. What matters most here is getting the spark ability, and then... well, I'll explain as we do it. Almost got him. There we are. Okay. So, we grab the spark ability. How you doing, Gooey? Might as well grab him for the 1 health. Now, with the spark ability in hand, we're gonna go the exact same way we did before, where we go to the top platform and then drop down into the pool, which, unfortunately, it's a bit harder to tell where the top platform is now because the 1-up is gone, but you can just tell by there being a star in the next platform and by it being lower down. Anyway, so now that we have the spark ability, we're supposed to go, this time to the right, and you might wonder, well, this doesn't require the fish, there's no current this way. Why did I need to bring the fish, and why did I need to kill that mini-boss? Well, the reason isn't actually for the fish, it's for the spark ability, which again, you can't bring the spark ability into this point in the level from some outside level because you needed the ice ability at the start of this level. And so, now, at this point, you're gonna let the fish die, or abandon the fish, and grab the spark ability, keep the spark ability, kill this mini-boss, and use the spark ability with the animal buddy you get in there, which is the hamster Rick. It's honestly just easier to let the fish die, considering... well, doesn't really matter. He's just an extra health bar, I suppose. But do not spit this back at him. You need the spark ability. Kill him off with it. Don't grab the stone ability at all. And then up here, grab the hamster. So all of that was just so that we could get the hamster with the beam. And now we're going to be progressing through the level as we normally would. I'm pausing because I'm confused, but it all makes sense. It's just very odd. So using the hamster and the beam, in this room we're going to destroy these cannons here. And that'll give us the owl. It's not even a mini-boss to get us that owl, that's interesting, but then we're going to abandon both the hamster and the electricity. You can keep the electricity if you want, which I do, just because it's useful for the upcoming mini-boss, especially with the owl. But now that we have the owl, we're going to be flying against the wind here to get to this area up ahead. And through that door is a mini-boss, which is really easy with the owl with the thunder ability. You can just stand above him and zap him constantly. Yeah. But again, the whole point of this was to get the owl with the cutter. That's what gets us the rainbow drop, and this is the only way to get it, is defeating that mini-boss with the owl, which you only get from getting the beam ability with the hamster, which you only get from killing the one enemy with the fish, which you only get to from going up and dropping down after using the ice ability in the one room. It's a lot of prerequisites to get to this one point. It reminds me of the beginning of Final Fantasy, or the earlier hours of it. But yeah, finally we have the owl with the cutter. Do not lose the cutter ability at this point, you've already gotten far enough. Actually, if you do, you might be able to fly back into the room with him and refight the boss, I'm not sure. But that is how you get the rainbow drop. And now, the final level of the final world, all you need to do is choose the right ability out of these ones, and then use it to go through the next room. That's it. It's not hard, it's just luck-based. The two things you need to remember are you never repeat abilities, and you never use the spark or the parasol in this whole bit. So, keeping that in mind will help you get through most of it, although there's still a bit of luck involved. So, you need to use the fire, then you need to use the stone, then you need to use the needle, I believe the ice after this, and then after that you use the cutter. But yeah, that is that, and this is how you get the last rainbow drop. I forgot to mention it, but once you do get the rainbow drops, they'll appear on the overworld, like the world select screen, where you're flying on the star. Grab the cutter ability. It also gives you a lot of stars in that area. But Rainbow Drop is right there, easier for the picking, and it is okay to exit these levels without having to beat them, and it still keeps the Rainbow Drop and all that. But anyway, beat King DDD again, and there will be a new final boss and ending. So, once you beat King DDD, once you have all the Rainbow Drops, all of the Rainbow Drops will come together right now over me and create the Rainbow Sword. And using the Rainbow Sword, we're going to defeat the one who's responsible for all of what's going on in this game, Dark Matter. He's the one who possessed King DDD, and I'm guessing made Wispy Woods do the stuff he did. But he takes this kind of like samurai swordsman form, which is interesting. In most games, Dark Matter is just a blob that like swoops around and possesses things, but here he's like a swordsman. Anyway, I completely forgot how to do this boss at first, which is why I'm not shooting his projectiles back at him, I'm just avoiding them. You can just beat him, swing the sword at him, but the sword only does about 1 tick of health every 5 hits, so it takes a while, whilst the hitting his projectiles back at him can do like 1 or 2 damage, like look at that. Because when you hit his projectiles, they split into 3 different balls, as you see here. So if you can get them all to hit him by hitting it up close, then more things will hit him and he'll take more damage. So I guess this is why the sword wasn't a standard ability in the game, and why that guy couldn't be inhaled. We almost got this guy here. Of course, this isn't the only phase. Once we do take out all of his health, he gets the second phase where he looks more like Dark Matter usually does, where he's a ball with these spikes on his back. And he once again shoots projectiles, which again, I completely forgot how to do this phase. And I'll show how it's correctly done after I die here. But, he has a lot of attacks. Most importantly, his movement is weird. He'll zoom across the screen in all sorts of directions. But how you're supposed to do this is go behind him and hit his projectiles into him. At least that's the fastest way to do it. Since both of those are hitting him, and you're hitting him with a sword that does a lot of damage instantly. And that's always the first attack he does. All of his attacks go in order. The next attack he does is this screen attacking method he does here, which he never hits the same area twice with this, so if you just take the hit or avoid the hit and go back to that spot, you can really just slash away at him. Anyway, his next attack, he just charges forward, not that hard, and you can take him out. And with that, Dark Matter is defeated, at least for now. All of the animal buddies look on as they realize they didn't help whatsoever in that fight. But this is the true ending, ladies and gentlemen. This is... Oh, hi, King DDD. You're back to normal, it seems. This is what really happens after the end of Kirby's Dream Land 2. This is going to be the end of the series for real this time. And, yeah, I had a lot of fun playing this game. I think I still prefer Kirby's Adventure, even though there's a lot to enjoy with this game. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Thanks to all of you who did. I definitely recommend checking it out, especially if you're a Kirby fan, and especially if you haven't played a game with the Animal Buddies, since there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with them in this game. I don't necessarily recommend 100%ing the game, because you know, it's not that fun just getting some of these. Like, straight up World 4 sucks. Also, I did check after this, and the percentage didn't reach 100%, so I'm guessing going into certain rooms also has an influence in your percentage. So, 100%ing this game certainly takes a bit of time.